and then the 18th was stroke 17. You know, 18 is from that new tee that they use back there. It's a daunting shot now. You know, you could see the results when the wind started blowing. Even though the wind was down off the left, it was still a hard hole. The first 2 days it was pretty easy because there was no wind, so the guys just bang it over the hill, or they play the way they want to, not the way they have to. But I think if that Southwester had come up there, that there would have been quite a few high scores in that hole.
Yeah, I love what you just said there. So a good golf course layout forces a golfer to play the way he has to play, and not the way that he wants to play.
Yeah. You see, so there's a lot of holes that you'd play. You think, okay, this hole, I'm just going to try and make a par, and then you get and you think, oh, actually, geez, I can actually make a birdie here, and then boom, you cock it up.
Yeah.
Whereas you can go there and say, okay, listen, this hole it's like so difficult. For example, the 11th and the 5th, they were stroke 1 and 2, leaps and bounds.
Oh, really? Were they?
Yeah.
Okay.
I think number 1 was stroke 3, so they found that an extremely difficult opening hole, but it is a very difficult hole. You know, there's really no way to miss that first green. You miss it anywhere short, it runs down in the valley, then you're going to shame the poor guy that played on Thursday.
Yes.
He made 9 on the first hole.
Yeah.
Took 5 chips to get his ball back on the green, so not a way to start your week.
2 weeks ago, the golfing world turned its attention to Durban Country Club. The grand old lady played host to the 114th Investec SA Open for a record 18th time. A course steeped in history, perhaps matched only by the history of the second oldest national open in world golf. An inevitable relationship renewed and restored. 103 years of abiding golfing landscape reintroduced to the world in an embrace with the transience of a new era. Enter Kevin Stone from Matko Turf, tasked with presenting Durban Country Club to the world on a 7-month timeline. In this episode, we discuss what had to happen to the golf course, what changes had to be made to host such an event, including the building of the new tee boxes, growing of the rough, and the cutting and refining of the fairways and surrounding green areas. Kevin, a former professional golfer himself, sheds light on what makes Durban Country Club such a fantastic layout. And yes, Kevin gives a first-hand account of the dedication shown by him and the team in the face of the deluge that was Tuesday evening and once again on Sunday morning. Working through the night and against all odds to give us our first SA Open in 15 years. What a fantastic week, and what a great example of teamwork and what can be achieved through a unified vision. Please like, share, subscribe, and enjoy. Kevin Stone, welcome to the show.
Thanks, Clint. Thanks for inviting me.
Absolute pleasure. So, Kev, SA Open was last week. Tremendous tournament, very important tournament in the history of golf in South Africa, one of the oldest national opens. And one of the biggest things that I've taken away from the tournament, and it's affected me personally, is I've really struggled to adapt to the new level of fame that has come from the SA Open from me. Being on camera, on live national television with you, it's been life-changing. I mean, the notoriety I've got, the people that I've got coming up to me, asking me for autographs, in fact. So
yeah, don't worry, you'll be getting the invoice.
Is it? Okay. I mean, my street cred in the golfing community has gone up exponentially since that moment.
I would have thought I got worse, to be honest.
Kev, give me some context. So you find yourself here playing a very important role at DCC and a very important role in the preparation of the golf course. But you've been in golf all your life. I mean, I think you first started golf before the first SA Open, which was in 1903. So, I mean, it's been a massive part of your life for over 130 odd years.
Yeah, it's been about that. Close to that. I must say, to be honest, I actually played in 13 SA Opens. I can't remember if I played 2 or 3 at Country Club many years back. I actually played with Wayne Wester the first 2 days that he won, and then I played with Ernie Els the first 2 days that he won, and both those times I missed the cut, so I was clearly the weak link in 3-ball way back then, but yeah, it's been an experience. I think this hasn't just been this week, it's been a project that's been going on for like 6 months already for us as a club, and a company being Matko Turf. We started the maintenance in August last year, and the first brief we got from Mr. Nick Johnson was that this needed to be a great, if not the greatest, SA Open, which comes with its pressures, and there were a lot of challenges we had to cross and a lot of things we had to do properly, and I think we got 80% of the things that we wanted for the Open. I think we got right. There were a few things that we just ran out of time. So as far as the weather went, we couldn't control that. So that's just a side attraction.
Yeah, exactly. But you've spent your whole life in the golf industry, being a professional golfer as well. Give me some context. So how long were you a professional golfer for before you decided to take an alternative route?
Not very long, to be honest. I turned pro in 1988. We first had to go to the military. And then I was actually offered a scholarship to go to the States, but I decided first to do my military service, which was, I don't know if it was a good thing or a bad thing, but after that scholarship fell by. So I decided that I'd rather just turn pro. So we turned pro, and there was a whole lot of us at the same time. It was a kind of thing that when you finish the army, you'd go and play golf, and so I turned pro in like 1988, and then I only played until 1998.
Okay.
So I played for like 10 years, and it was good. I mean, I wasn't the worst out there, but I just ran out of the enjoyment of the game. I just fell out of love, if you can call it that, of playing golf.
Didn't you have 10 wins on the Sunshine Tour?
3 toasters, a kettle, and a snackage machine,
And then, what was that story when you finally decided to pack it in? You won, but you shot.
Oh yeah, no, that was when I'd already stopped playing for many years, and I went to play in the senior event, and friends of mine, Andre Cruz and James Kingston, and all these guys, they were all playing week in and week out in the senior tour, and I was working at Mount Edgecombe. So I decided, listen, I'm going to go play as well. In fact, I was about to go and work at Mount Edgecombe, and we played an event at Durban Country Club. It was, and I mean, by then I really didn't play much golf, but so I went out and played, and I ended up being one in the lead going into the last day, and I was playing with Kingston and Chris Williams. And on the first hole, I hit drive, I hit my wedge, I hold my wedge for 2. And we always used to have this joke that, you never make birdie on the first because otherwise your day can only get worse.
Yes.
And James walked up and he said to me, geez, Jono, now your day's only going to get worse. So I said, maybe not today. I parred the second, and then the third, the par 5, I hit it onto about 15 foot and 3-putted it. So he said, yeah, told you. But to cut a long story short, from there I ended up shooting 61. I think I won by 10 shots. So at the prize game, I told the guys, okay, this is it. I'm never coming back. I've now got a record that not even Tiger Woods holds, or Ernie, or any of the greats, that they can shoot their lowest round and win by their biggest margin in their final round of golf. So I've never been back since then. So it's been a few years now.
So, I mean, golfing really is in the blood, and you now had an understanding of what it's like to play a golf course as a professional, as well as then now being on the other side of it in terms of what you look for in maintaining a golf course and what makes a good golf course. So that's my next question. In your opinion, what makes a good golf course?
I think, first of all, and most importantly of all, is the design. The layout. It's very easy to get a golf course. Well, not very easy. It's easier getting a golf course into good shape. But if the layout is not up to standard and people really don't enjoy playing there, you can have it as good as you like. They're not going to come back. Whereas if you can have a great layout, which we do have in South Africa, we have a lot of great layouts, people will come and play. It's our job as a maintenance company to try and get those golf courses and all courses that we do into as good a shape as we possibly can, because especially the playing areas, first of all, the greens. The greens are like the most important part of the golf course, I believe. Then your fairways, your green surrounds, your tee boxes are vital. Your tees have got to be good. And we try and put that whole package together. I think that if you go to a golf course and it looks good and it plays nice and it's green, I think it helps tremendously. There was a lot of things that Country Club we managed to do. There was the fairways, we really wanted to get them really tight and fast. In other words, the ball would follow the slopes more, the ball would run into the valleys, they would run over the hills. If you missed the greens, the ball would run all the way down to the bottom of the hill where it would be hard and tight, and it's really difficult from down there. Once you're down the bottom and it's hard, it's a very difficult shot, like they do overseas.
Like a bit of a linksy feel.
Yeah, exactly like a links. But because of the climate, the rain that we had, and it was just we got quite a lot of different grass varieties around the greens. It was very difficult to get it to be that. And we were planning on cutting our green surrounds at 6 mils. We ended up cutting them at 9 mils. The fairways, we wanted them at 10 mils. We ended up cutting them at 14 mils, purely because of the amount of rain we had. We couldn't get in and do the right processes. We couldn't get in and verticut them fast enough. We couldn't get... So they look unbelievable on TV. But if you're a great ball striker, it's quite difficult playing off longish, softish fairways. The good players, they prefer hard fairways, because you can control the ball more.
Yes.
You wouldn't say so about the scores, because, the guys just murdered the golf course the first 2 days, and that was purely because the weather was just perfect. It was like playing in a vacuum.
Yeah. But then there was a bit of a breeze on the third day, and then all of a sudden was a bit of a difference in the scoring.
That's right. I had a bet with George Schwartzel, Charles' dad. No, we've been mates for, good Lord, 40 years. And he said, when he got you, they hadn't played you yet, and he said, what would win? I said, well, if the weather is challenging, if we have a 2-3 club wind every day, I reckon that 8 under par will win the golf tournament. I said, if the weather's good, maybe between 18 and 20. And he laughed. He said, you still don't know how good these guys are. I said, I know that. They are good. But so is this golf course. And after 2 rounds, he sent me, when it was 14 under leading, he sent me a message. He said, let me just send you my address in Vereniging so that you can deliver my wine to my address. And I said, is the tournament over? And he just laughed. He said, there's no ways they can shoot anything less than 25 under. Come Saturday, they have a 1.5, 2 club wind, which, as we all know, down in Durban is nothing.
Nothing.
That's what we're playing. If we have a 2 club wind here, everybody races out to go and play.
Exactly.
And the scores went nowhere. All of a sudden, 14 unders leading after Friday, 14 unders leading after Saturday.
Yeah.
So the scoring stalled. And when I was chatting to the players, they all said it was a completely different golf course. It was so difficult because instead of hitting them in the right place in the fairway, you were off that section that you were trying to hit to. And instead of hitting it to between 0 and 6 feet, now they're hitting it between 6 and 12 feet. So the average amount of putts made from 6 and 12 is basically half of what you make from 0 to 6. So and when you're chipping from difficult areas now. So the whole scoring system changes purely by just a little bit of wind. And that's what we were hoping for the whole week. If we had had that wind, it would have been a daunting week for the guys, but it wasn't. But it was still a good week.
Yeah. What makes Durban Country Club then such a good golf course with respect to the layout?
I think it's natural. There's very little that is being constructed. It's just kind of like built over the dunes. It's quite unique. For example, like the 3rd hole, the 5th hole, they're both below the sea level. So now after all the rain, we need to get the water off the golf course, but how do you pump it uphill into the ocean? It just keeps coming back. So those kind of things make it unique. But then you'll have a hole like 17, which is all the natural dunes, the way that the grass has just grown over them. It's like a links golf course. And the entire golf course, there's not 2 holes in this golf course that are similar. Every single hole plays differently.
Yeah.
From the first hole to the last hole, it's just like a challenge. There's never a hole that you walk up and say, geez, thank goodness I've reached this hole. I can now back off and take a breather. There's no holes like that, yeah.
Well, the holes that you think would be those breather holes turn out to be the ones that bite you. So, for example, the drivable 6th, we've spoken at length about how you play the 6th hole here at DCC. and Ernie made reference to it that driver's certainly not the play off the tee there at 6. You know, that bit a lot of the players that decided to have a go at it. 7 I can't remember if it was day 1 or day 2, but 7 was the third toughest hole on the golf
7,
course.
yeah. That was day 1.
That would have been day 1 because that flag was back right.
That's right, yeah.
Yeah. And I mean, those are 2 holes that you think after, especially getting through the first 5, would be a bit of reprieve.
Yeah.
But it turned out to be not the case, which is a testament to the design of the golf course.
Yeah. You know, one hole that really stands out for me is the 15th, the par 3. Last year's club champs, after the weekend, we've worked out at a stroke 8. Last week for the tournament, it was stroke 10.
Wow.
So it's not an easy hole. It looks easy because the green's big and it's a short hole and all that, but when you miss the green, you get so penalized that it's so difficult to make a par. So you're under pressure to make sure that you hit the green. The par 3s play very difficult here. You know, and even though they're pretty short, you know, there's no 200-meter par 3 or anything like that. A lot of it depends on the weather, which way the wind's going.
Yeah.
You know, so you could play number 2 into the wind. It's got to be the toughest par 3, except for the 6th hole at the Wild Coast in the world. I mean, it is so difficult. You know, you're going there with and you could see that on the Saturday when the wind was in off the right. Every second golfer was in the bunker on the left. Because you cannot feel that wind pushing the ball to the left there.
Yeah.
You know, 4 is always going to be a pretty easy hole, downwind. You know, because those guys are only hitting 9 irons or whatever. But when the flag is at the bottom, it was so easy. You know, but then you'll step up you get to the Prince of Wales into the wind, and all the guys they are absolutely crapping themselves for that hole. This is because you know if you miss that green, you can make a bogey.
Yeah.
And it's not that long, but in that wind, they go in there with 7 irons, 8 irons. And even though the green is probably 3 times the size it was, it doesn't look 3 times the size it was from the tee box.
No.
So that was hard. And the holes that are easier, I would say, like the 8th, you know, downwind, that's not a difficult hole for them. Even they did have the tee up quite far forward because of the water on the fairway still. But that was stroke 18 for the week.
Was it?
Yeah.
Okay.
And then the 18th was stroke 17. You know, 18 is from that new tee that they use back there. It's a daunting shot now. You know, you could see the results when the wind started blowing. Even though the wind was down off the left, it was still a hard hole. The first 2 days it was pretty easy because there was no wind, so the guys just bang it over the hill, or they play the way they want to, not the way they have to. But I think if that Southwester had come up there, that there would have been quite a few high scores in that hole.
Yeah. I love what you just said there. So a good golf course layout forces a golfer to play the way he has to play, not the way that he wants to play.
Yeah. You see, so there's a lot of holes that you'd play. You think, okay, this hole, I'm just going to try and make a par. And then you get there and you think, oh, actually, geez, I can actually make a birdie here. And then boom, you cock it up.
Yeah.
Whereas you can go there and say, okay, listen, this hole it's like so difficult. For example, the 11th and the 5th, they were stroke 1 and 2, leaps and bounds.
Oh, really? Were they?
Yeah.
Okay.
I think number 1 was stroke 3. So they found that an extremely difficult opening hole, but it is a very difficult hole. You know, there's really no way to miss that first green. You miss it anywhere short, it runs down in the valley, then you're going to be showing the poor guy they played on Thursday.
Yes.
He made 9 on the first hole.
Yeah.
It took 5 chips to get his ball back on the green, so not a way to start your week. And then, you know, you got a long right, you in the cabbage as well, so it's a daunting tee shot. Where downwind, for them, it's a 2 iron, probably 9 iron, so it's not that difficult. So the golf course relies immensely on the wind, direction, and the strength. You know, if you've seen our members play on the weekend, the wind blows at 30, 40 k's an hour, and they still make 37, 38, 40 points because they know how to play it.
Yeah.
But when you come here and you've got a different game plan, you work out a game plan, it doesn't always fall into place.
No.
And, you know, bearing in mind that the rough was brutal. I mean, if you'd hit in the rough, you were going to make a bogey. 9 out of 10 times. And that puts you under so much pressure from the tee box because you know you'd love to hit a driver. But you know, if you hit in the rough, you can make a bogey. So what is the next option? Is it easier hitting a 6 iron from the fairway or 9 iron from the rough? And a lot of the times, the guys were just hitting irons off the tee. They were just trying to focus and make sure they hit it on the fairway.
Isn't that great, though? Because, you know, especially in modern day golf when it's just about bash, 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 hit the ball as far as you can. You know, we see it a lot on the US golf courses on the PGA Tour, how much of an advantage it is to be really long off the tee, for a golf course to have another defense, not just build the golf courses longer and longer and longer and longer.
Yeah, definitely. I remember, I think it was Royal Liverpool, where the year that Tiger won, he hit one driver.
Yeah.
That was in the first hole, hit in the ditch, made double bogey, he didn't even take it with him. He just left it in the car for the rest of the week.
Yeah.
And he just beat them all up with his 1 iron. And that's the kind of thing that, so in the practice round, it was actually quite funny because I was in the players' lounge and Dean Burmeister came. So he just said to me, Stoney, he needs help. How the hell am I going to play this golf course? So I said, hit on the fairway. He says, I know that. He says, but he's got a 40% strike rate of fairways hit. He says, which means he's only going to hit 6 out of the 14 fairways.
Yeah.
Which means he's going to miss 8 fairways. If he misses 8 fairways and he makes 4 bogeys, that's 16 bogeys for the week. And 16 under is going to win, let's say. He needs to find 32 birdies somewhere to compete.
Yeah.
He says he can't find those 32 birdies. So how does he get to eliminate? And that's how you got to think. It's like a formula.
Yeah.
So I said, well, all I know is go and get yourself a club. He says he's going now. He's going to find himself a 2 iron. He's going to bend it down to like 5 degrees loft. And that's what he did.
He's going to belt that thing.
He's going to belt that thing out. I mean, he hit it absolute miles. I mean, he hit his 2 iron over the bunker at number 3 on, I think, the first or second day.
Jeepers.
You know, that's the kind of, so he's got the power, but he knows that he can just hit it as far as you can on the fairway. And then on Saturday he hit a bit of a wobbly, but that's golf.
That's golf.
But you see, but that's how they think. You know, you got to work out how many bogeys, you got to avoid how many birdies are out there, and you'll see the first 2 days there were very little bogeys in the top 20 on the auto merit. I mean,
on the leaderboard.
On the leaderboard. I think the leading 5 guys, I don't think there was 5 bogeys between all of them, which means that they're keeping it in play. The greens are soft. They can throw the ball straight at the flag. You're hitting it inside 6 foot, and those guys very seldom miss from 6 foot.
Yeah.
So it's one way that they can capture a decent score, but when the wind picks up, it's not that easy.
Yeah. Going back to the 15th, I mean, I really like the 15th hole. It's quite a shallow green, but because you're protected from the wind on the tee box, depending on that wind direction, and with it being a short hole, you've got to be in control of your ball flight. It's probably one of the most important things on that hole, you know, which is a testament to the design of the golf course, and I think how they've restructured that 15th. Is it has a different demand. You've got a different shot that you have to hit there. You have to think about different things than you perhaps have to think about on any of the other par 3s here. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, you know, for example, on Saturday, the wind was down off the left. And Dylan, he actually hits right to left. He shapes it right to left. So he aimed on the right edge of the green, trying to turn it in and hold it against the wind. But it didn't turn enough because the wind's pushing it. And when it doesn't turn, the wind pushes it more. And pitched on the back edge and went down into the dip. And that was his only bogey for 3 days.
Yeah,
so,
I saw that, yeah.
And it was, you know, you could say, listen, I'm going to aim in the middle of the green or 5 yards left of the flag and just make sure you hit the green. But he's in a position where he's trying to win the golf tournament.
Yeah.
So he's only going with a 9 iron. But there's no margin for error. And he errored it. He hit it down into the valley there. Grant, he had a brilliant chip. Getting it into play, make sure that you give yourself a chance for a 3. If a 4 is not a bad score, which he did. You know, he unfortunately missed the putt, but he still made his bogey, and then he was back again.
Yeah, I think that's an important lesson for golfers, amateur golfers as well. Sometimes bogey's not a bad score.
Yeah.
And if bogey's not a bad score for guys that dedicate their lives to it, they're professionals, then, you know, we can certainly take something away from that.
That's for sure.
I remember there was a shot that he hit, I think it was on 10, it was his 3rd shot, that flag was front right.
Yeah.
And he hit that draw, and I think they said he hit a 6 iron.
Yeah.
And he flipping just laced this thing. It looked like he was aiming it out over the 11th.
11th, yeah, I saw that.
Bang, and it, bah.
Yeah, you know, you got to be quite brave to swing it out 20 meters right to the green and just hope that it comes back. Because if it doesn't, you're making bogey or more.
Yeah, but I suppose you can't miss it left there, though.
No, and that's the one thing. You don't want to miss it left. So that was an unbelievable shot. That was in the 3rd round as well, I think.
Yeah, that was. Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, it's unbelievable, man. And then that right to left shot, I think it was a 5-wood on 8 when he bent it around the fig tree there.
Also
hit it close, rolled it in. So it's a wonderful design of the golf course that demands different shots as well. You've got to be able to shape it both ways, I think, don't you?
Yeah, definitely. There's a couple of holes like 6. You can't be hitting it right to left on 6. You can't hit it right to left on 7. You can't hit it right to left on 9 or 11. 11 is a daunting hole. That's if you're playing that into the southwest, that'll be stroke 1. I think number 5 and number 11, depending on the wind, will alternate between stroke 1 and stroke 2.
Ah, got you.
So if you're playing number 5 downwind or no wind, the guys just bang driver right over that mound there. They just hit wedge on the green, but into the wind, the area of the margin of error is 0. So you miss the fairway, knock it down the fairway, knock it on, make your 5, go to the next. And the same accounts for number 11. 11, the rough is so severe that, and it shapes left to right. So if you're hitting the tee shot right to left, it is so difficult to get on that fairway. So you got to work it out. Am I going to try and hit this one left to right and then try and get it to work with the fairway, or do I try and hang it out to the right and then bring it over there and go from there, which is always a good plan.
Yeah. Let's go back to 7 months ago, right? You mentioned that ballpark 7 months ago, the mandate was given, the Investec South African Open is going to be held at Durban Country Club. What has to take place on a golf course to get it tournament ready?
We were given the brief in September, so 6 months ago. The DP World Tour guys came out. A guy by the name of Eddie Adams. He's the leading agronomist and from St Andrews and for the DP World Tour. So they came out, had a look at the golf course. We had to get the surrounds up. We had to get grass them because a lot of the surrounds never had grass yet. We had to build 4 new tee boxes, being the last 4 holes from 15 through to 18. We had to get the fairway lines correct. We had to get the growth right. We had to get the greens ready. We had to get the tee boxes ready. We had to verticut, start tightening them up. We had to start getting the fairways tighter. We had to start growing the rough. It was like a whole formula that we had to try and put together. And we started. And then he came back a month later, or 6 weeks later, and he said, okay, you guys have still got a lot to do. And then we were in the process. We were building the tees. We were doing whatever we could. And then he came back in December, and he said, wow, okay, you guys are winning here. And then things like verticutting the surrounds of the greens, all the runoff areas. When you do that, it's quite a mess, and it's irritating if you remember. Because now you go there, and every time you come to play, it looks like they're doing spring treatment. It looks like they're beating this place to death, and it's not nice. I mean, I understand from a member's point of view, but it was something that we had to try and do, purely because of the different grass types that we had growing in around the collars and the surrounds. We still have those issues, which we will address now, hopefully in the next few months. Getting the greens ready. The green surfaces that we have here, the grasses they're a serious challenge down on the coast here. And to try and get them running at the 12, 13 that these guys like is practically impossible. The humidity is just too dense. You could probably get them to that in the winter when there's no humidity. Just a couple of rolls and a few double cuts, and you're good to go. But when you put your hand down on the greens, they're sticky, and that's from the humidity.
Yes.
It's exactly like if you're walking on the beach and you're sweating. It's the same thing. The grass sweats because the moisture comes out the green all the time. And we were given programs. We had to put drainage in. We were fortunate that we had quite a bit of rain in December, where we identified areas that needed drainage, extra drainage. Being number 9, being number 14, being number 15, 16. So we did a lot of work on those areas there, putting subsurface drains in there, just to help us get the water off as fast as we could. Unfortunately, the water that fell on Tuesday was substantial. It was 75 mils of rain overnight. We managed to get all that up, and then they went and played. But come Saturday and Sunday, Sunday's rain was diabolical. It was just beat us down.
Yeah. I mean, I heard the commentator saying those 2 bouts of rain combined made up for 20% of Durban's annual rainfall.
Yeah. Oh, I'm not surprised. No, it was, you know, it even flooded our workshops, flooded the poor marquees down in the driving range.
Yeah.
It was. I think a lot of it could have been avoided if certain measures were taken, you know, outside of the golf course.
Yeah.
Things that are out of our control. But I think the work that the club did in the last 2 years, I would say 2 years ago when they started the project, revamping it, I think that work was done very well. I think that the berm that they put through the whole golf course helped tremendously.
Yeah.
Because it channeled the water in the right areas. The areas that did flood and are still a bit wet now are purely because of outside influences. It wasn't the work. It wasn't because of the work that was done poorly by the club in renovating the course.
No, absolutely. I mean, I think if they I've been here since 2015, and if the golf course was like it was prior to the revamp, there would have been no SA Open.
No,
that would have been it. Would have been tickets. Thanks everybody. Please go home.
Yeah.
And when Mother Nature wants to flex, she's gonna flex.
Yeah, she doesn't mind.
No, she doesn't care.
No.
She doesn't discriminate. Mother Nature. Tell me about what that Wednesday or that Tuesday night looked like for you guys, because I mean, I saw videos. I mean, just sweeping water, pushing water, pumping. I mean, you guys were here till the early hours of the morning to try and get things ready.
Yeah, when we actually stayed in a bed and breakfast in Mshlanga, so we just helped us with timing a bit because we live in Belita. So when we came through on Wednesday morning, so we were up at like 2:30. We came past NMR Drive at about 3:30, and the water was lying in the street. And I said to Desiree, I said to her, "Wow, check this water. Hope this isn't on the golf course." And we turned left and we looked into the left of there near the 15th, 14th, and both our hearts just sank. We thought, oh, this can't be happening to us. Anyway, so we went to the club, got our torches, and then we headed off. And when we got to number 3, we normally start 1 and we go down through the holes. That entire third hole was just like a lake. And we thought, no, this can't be happening. Anyway, so we managed to walk through. We took our socks and shoes off, took my pants off, and we waddled through all the water and all that in the dark. And funny enough, one of the worst affected areas was number 6, where the new pond that they got to the left of 7 had overflowed dramatically and had washed across. That water was probably good part of 1.5 meters deep.
What?
Yeah.
Whereabouts on 6?
From the start of the fairway up to the tee box. So that whole 5th green was like surrounded with water, and,
yes.
and obviously the 5th fairway.
Yeah.
Anyway, so we managed to
waddle. So you were over waist deep in water.
Yeah. And then we just kept walking, and we kept going. 5 was, as we said, nightmare. 6 terrible. 8 was just one big lake. 9 was completely submerged. 10 was fine. We got through the whole golf course, and then when we got to 16, that was like, no, this is impossible. It was like from the ladies' tee box right up to the green. Right now, we're not probably 50 meters
like
from the
50
green.
Short with that upslope. Yeah.
That was all water, and but then the sun had already started coming up, and I was walking. So Deja and I decided we were going to walk through there, and she was like walking, but being Des, she was on the phone again. So
she was on the phone.
She's on the phone, waddling up to her knees. And the water's getting a little bit higher, and I'm on the far left, and I'm calling her, "Hey, don't walk there. And she's going, "I'm on the phone, quiet." All right, fine. Anyway, she gets like another 10 meters. I said, "I know that hole. It's going to get deep soon." And the next thing I said, "Don't walk there." And she's like, "Can't you see I'm on the phone? I'm busy sorting this out." I said, "Okay, fine, carry on walking." And the next thing, whoop, there she was like waist deep in water. So she's like, "Help!" I said, "You can swim out there now. You weren't listening to me." So she waddled out the side there. And then we managed to get back to the club, changed clothes and everything, had a quick shower. And so anyway, we started with the program. So we thought, okay, how are we going to get this fixed? So we had meetings with the DP Tour, Sunshine Tour, and they said, okay, now what's the problem? Now, how do we fix this? So we said, okay, we're going to get people involved who can help us. And Des is fortunate that she has a lot of connections in town, and she got a hold of the right people. And we've got the fire brigade here, we've got the stormwater people here, we had the guys from the sewage department here, and a special mention must go to Shane Buerta. He works for the council. He just helped us unbelievably. He was like a superstar. He got the guys working throughout the night, the whole of Tuesday night, just to help us. Sorry, Wednesday night. Wednesday night, yeah. And our staff as well, Hein, Larry, we were all there through the night. Hein and Larry, they never even went home. Des and I left at 1, we were back by 3. We just went home again to go and shower, but we were pumping water out there with like 3 6-inch pipes with these big pumps, because the amount of water that came over there, our drainage that was installed was just not enough.
Yeah.
The drainage that we got there is perfect for rainfall, not floods. Anyway, so the whole night we were squeegeeing and walking and squeegeeing that entire 16th, but before that, on Wednesday afternoon at about 4 o'clock, the guys from the DP Tour, Sunshine Tour, came to the 16th, and they said, listen, how quick could we build them a tee box to make it a par 3 or short par 4, because you couldn't play the hole. He said, there will be no need for that, we'll have this course ready. And they said, that's impossible. So I said, believe me, we'll make it ready. And then I said, okay, but in the meantime, so anyway, we identified areas where we could make it into a par 4 or par 3, just so the guys could play. And then they came back on Thursday morning, and they actually sent out a notice saying that the first time would be 9:20 Thursday morning.
Yes.
And everybody said, oh, that's garbage. There's no chance we're even playing until Saturday if we get to play. And the guys were phoning me, sending me messages, is this true? And this, and so I said, it's true. We're going to have it ready. And they were like laughing, did you bring your boats and your scuba gear and blah, 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 blah.
You showed me there was the barbel there.
Jeez, there was fish in there bigger than you, man. It was terrifying. I thought they were snakes.
Well, yeah, I was wondering when you were telling me the story, wading through the water of that African rock python still hanging
that's the first thing that I thought when I was going through at 6 there. Because it's right by that dam, and you keep telling me about that rock python, and this thing banged against my leg. I thought, oh no, you've got to be kidding me. I'm going to be eaten by a snake here, crossing through. And then when the sun came up and we went back again, you could see all the barbel, and they were big. I mean, they're probably 2-3 feet big.
Really, yeah.
And so I sent the video over to Brandon. I said, listen, check the fish. He said, geez, I should have brought my fishing rod, not my golf clubs.
Yeah, exactly.
I said, yeah, no, that's for sure.
Okay, so then now you said that they're going to get the course ready by 9:20.
Yeah, so
first tee off at 9:20.
First tee time 9:20. So we said, okay, fine. We'd got 3 dry, we got 5 dry, 8 there was still a few puddles. We got that pretty dry. 9 we'd squeegeed that, pumped that. That was dry. That was good. And everything else was good. And then 16 we worked out that you probably needed about 2.5 hours. Maybe 3 hours from the time they tee off until they get there, which meant that the 9:20, if we could get that ready by 12 o'clock, it would be playable. And
that would be the blokes teeing off 10.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So if the guys were going off 10 and 9:20, they would probably get there at about 11 o'clock. So the guys came around there at DP at about 11. They said, unbelievable, playable. So they put the tees out and said, off you go. And obviously they had to have 2 referees because there would be a lot of rulings there.
Yeah.
And they played it. It was awesome. It was, Hein, who's our regional divisional guy, he left home on Tuesday morning at 2 o'clock. He lives up in Hillcrest. He went home to sleep on Thursday afternoon at 6 o'clock. That was the first time that he went home to go and sleep. He just worked and worked, getting the pumps. He'd organized pumps from any guy who had a pump that was busy pumping anything. He got, I think one time we had 20 pumps pumping the 16th and the 9th dry. And then, Larry, our green superintendent, he hasn't slept more than 4 hours for the last 10 days.
Yeah.
And he's still here. He's still fixing it. We want to try and get it ready as fast as we can for the members. So he's been an absolute star.
Jeez, what a classy effort, hey? What a worldly effort by everybody involved. I mean, that's a fantastic effort all around. Really.
I must say, I felt super proud. You know, it was something that, you know, when they came and they said, "Oh, geez, you know, we can't play," and we made a commitment to them that we would get it right, and we called all the guys in the workshop, and I explained to them, you know, I said, "Listen, guys, you know that there's 500 million people are going to be watching this golf course, watching how good you are. Let's show the world how good you are. Let's show them that we can do things in South Africa.
Yeah.
We are a country of flipping. We just don't lie down. You know, it doesn't matter what gets thrown at us. We just keep fighting. And I think that was a true testament as to what can be achieved, because that should have taken nothing less than a week. But having all our staff here, our staff, the majority of our labourers who were here, they worked until 9 o'clock at night. And they were like, eventually they said, "Listen, please can we go?" And we're so tired because they've been working since 3 o'clock.
Yeah, yeah.
And 100%. And they were all happy. And the next day they're all back again, fixing the thing. And it was a proud moment for me from a company point of view, where you could see how these guys were committed to
the cause.
To the cause of fixing this place. And you know, most of them have been here forever. You know, and then when you sit and you discuss things with the board here at DCC, you know, you can see how impressed they were and how happy they were. And those are the kind of things that make the staff's day. You know, when you have the chairman going to address them all, and you have the CEO of the DP World Tour and the Sunshine Tour going down to the workshop to thank the guys. You can see it. Yeah.
Is that what happened?
Yeah. They went down twice. In fact, they went down on Wednesday to say Thursday, that when everybody had to get off the course, we all went into the workshop, and Thomas Apt and them came and, you know, thanked them all, and it was like you could see how proud they were of what they had achieved. And like Nick said, he said that, you know, this was something that the world can be proud of, or South Africa can be proud of, because we've showed the world now. And, you know, all the emails that we've received from the DP World Tour and the powers that be, this could never happen in 99% of the rest of the world. You know, they don't understand what it took, but it could only happen here because of our resilience to adversity.
Yeah. Well, and then adversity wasn't over. that was the
startup.
That was the starter, yeah. And the main course was coming on Sunday morning, and then tell me about that.
You know, we were still boxing against the elements on Thursday and Friday, still drying up areas, and, you know, we still couldn't cut fairways. So the last time we'd cut fairways was Tuesday morning early.
How does that affect the play of the golf course?
Yeah, big time. You know, the pros, as I said earlier, they don't like long, fluffy fairways. You know, the amateurs like it because the ball sits up and you can get your club under the ball and it flies. But the pros like to compress the ball into the turf. So it makes it quite challenging for them. But they understood. There was not one complaint. They were just so happy to be able to play.
Yeah.
So Tuesday we finished cutting at 6 in the morning. We didn't cut Wednesday. We didn't cut Thursday. We couldn't cut Friday. And then the fairways were really getting long. So we decided on Saturday that we'd cut the fairways. And we cut them in the dark. So, you know, it's not very easy cutting fairways and cutting lines when it's pitch dark. But we got it done. And it was a magnificent day. Saturday was awesome. And the weather was perfect. A little bit of a breeze, no rain. And then we thought, okay, tomorrow's going to be a good day. And then we checked the forecast. And they got 2 weathermen that actually travel with the DP World Tour. And these guys have got their computers, their fancy radars and all this kind of stuff. So we sat in a meeting on Saturday night. It was okay, what's the story? First of all, backtrack a bit. So on Tuesday, we sat in the meeting. So I said to the guy, listen, looks like we're having a bit of rain tonight. Can you tell me how much we're going to get? He said, he goes, blah, blah, blah. He says, come back. Yeah, we're looking at about 20 mils max. We had 75. Okay, so that was like not even close. So now, on Saturday, we sit in the meeting again. So he said, listen, there's a little bit of rain predicted for tomorrow. So he said, okay, so what are we going to do? He said, well, the rain's only going to be coming in at around 11 o'clock, and it's going to be a light drizzle, and 30% chance, and 5 mils, move maybe 10 mils by 3 o'clock. And So I'm going, geez, okay. So now we sit down and we work out tee times. Okay, so we think, okay, how can they get the guys to play and still finish the tournament and get it? So we say, okay, fine. They decide they're going to make the first tee time 6:10. Now, bearing in mind that 6:10 is rather early. The sun only pops up at 6. Now we've got to cut all the tee boxes, we've got to cut all the surrounds, we've got to cut all the greens. And we've got to double cut them before the first guy can start going, because they do so we really have to cut ahead of the field and all that.
How far ahead of the first golfer would you have to be?
Probably about 5 holes.
Okay.
Yeah. So an interesting fact is that on the Saturday, I actually took my watch and I gave it to the machine operator who was cutting the greens. And he went and cut number 17's green. And just to cut that green was 1,600 meters. It's 1.6 kilometers that he had to walk cutting that green. So if you cut all 18 greens, you're going to be walking probably close to 30 kilometers, which is really impossible. That's why we got 6 operators. But it was amazing that. So we did a time and motion on Friday to see how long it would take to get the guys off the course before the guys started playing. And we, the machine operator and myself, we did number 14 and number 17, and that took 1 hour 48 minutes to cut those 2 greens. So you can imagine that if you have something go wrong with the machine, if something breaks down, you toast. Then it's a nightmare.
Yeah.
But it's a long way to walk, just for 1 green. Anyway, so Sunday morning we're out there, and we get everything done. All the guys are finished cutting. Happy days. Off they go. At about 9 o'clock, we start getting calls. Listen, it's drizzling, but it's drizzling quite hard. So I've got the radio there, and the guys are talking about, there's a little cloud moving over. We're going to have rain for the next 15 minutes. And my in-laws live down in Scottsboro. So I phoned the guy and said, my bad, it is pouring in Scottsboro. And that's where our rain comes from, the south. The wind's blowing from the south. And I'm thinking, this guy's lost a plot, this weatherman. Anyway, so next thing they come through there, we need a squeegee on number 2. We need a squeegee on number 4. We need a squeegee on number 6. We need a squeegee at 8. Now everybody starts panicking because everything's starting to soak.
Yeah.
So I go out to the 6th with my squeegee, and I'm busy squeegeeing the green so the guy can chip it on the green. But the faster I'm squeegeeing, the faster the green's getting wet, and it is bucketing down. And I hear this guy come over the radio, says, Eddie says to the climatologist, says, tell me what's happening with the weather. He says, no, there's just a passing cloud. It's a little tough drizzle. He said, it should be clearing up in the next 10 to 15 minutes. And I took my radio. I said, can you please get off your computer and just look out the window? Because it is pouring out. I don't know what you're looking at, but it's not the weather that I'm in. And within 10 minutes, they'd cancelled play.
Yeah.
And it just stayed there. And it just started bucketing down. And when we started driving back from the 6th, the service road next to the driving range was starting to fill up already. And you could see the water pumping in from the road. They've got these stormwater drains that pump onto the golf course from the road. And I came up and I went to the tournament director. I said, you got trouble here. This is going nowhere. This is big problems now. And he was, oh, damn, what are we going to do? I said, there's nothing you can do. You just have to wait. And, eventually they decided they couldn't really play because the weather wasn't going to improve. The golf course would not be playable on Monday. So we sat down and had a long debate as to how they were going to finish the tournament, especially since there was 2 guys leading, not 1.
Yeah. So in theory, what if there was an outright leader, they just would have 54-hole tournament, award the overnight leader the victory.
Yeah, that's what they would have done.
Okay.
So in hindsight now, I think Dylan missing that putt in the dark was actually a good thing.
Yeah. Because
it just gave so much more emphasis on the tournament on the Sunday. If he had held that putt, they would have just taken and just handed him the trophy. Nobody would have been here. Would have been anticlimax. Pack your bongos and head off to the next event.
Yeah, he wouldn't have had that experience.
Correct. Yeah. So and before I went and chatted him down on the putting green. Then I said to him, Dill, this is the best thing that's ever happened to you, my mate. Make the most of it. And he said, yeah, definitely. And so the tour asked us, how long would it take us to fix the course? just the 18th. I just want to do 1-hole 18 shootout. I said, probably about an hour, maybe an hour and a half. The problem we sat with was our workshop was flooded. So we couldn't get the machinery out there. All our staff were stuck in the workshop. But then it subsided a bit. We got the machines out. We came and cut the green, raked the bunker, and they had the playoff. And, I mean, Dill won the thing. It was unbelievable.
Yeah. So what were the options that were being tossed around with respect to the finishing of the tournament?
It was really whether or not they were going to have a playoff, or if the guys are going to come back, or how many holes they have a playoff, or do they wait for Monday. But I think they understood when we showed them the damage caused. They realized you would never be able to play on Monday.
Okay, so because that's what's happened in the past with, like, you watch other tournaments where there's delayed play.
Yeah.
The reason that they didn't defer it to Monday is because there was just no ways that the golf course would have been playable by Monday in any case.
Definitely not. There was a 100% chance of it not being playable.
Okay.
On Monday. I mean, the rain that they had was, I think it was close to 130 mils of rain in 2.5 hours.
Yeah.
And it just flooded everything. So some guys say, oh, well, you could have played number 1 and number 18 and all that. But, no one is going to walk all the way out to number 1 and walk. So they had all the guys, everybody that came to watch. But even the people that came to watch, we weren't even allowed to use the grandstands or the VIP building up on the right because of all the rain, where those things were compromised.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so everybody had to stand around the bottom and watch from there, which was pretty cool. It was pretty nice. But I think if we definitely have filled up the grandstands if we allowed everybody in, and
if people were allowed to be there.
If they were allowed to be there.
Ah, okay. So were they restricting some kind of access from a safety perspective?
Correct. Yeah.
Oh, I see. That makes sense.
Yeah. See, so I had a few guys saying, "Oh, but there was nobody there," but there was lots of people that we just couldn't allow them in to the facility because of all the damage done. Because where would they stand? They couldn't sit on the grandstands. I think they sat on top of the pro shop where the members were. That was the only place they could. But as far as like the VIP section, the Johnson's VIP section on the far side, we couldn't use that. It was compromised because of all the rain as well.
Sure.
Yeah.
That's crazy, eh? Look, it's a real testament, the fact that we were able to get 54 holes in and 55 for two guys. It turned out to be a wonderful tournament and a wonderful spectacle, a great showcase for Durban Country Club in its new refined glory. So a testament to willpower, to hard work, and I think you guys at Matko Turf can be incredibly proud of the product that you put forward. Even prior to the rains, the course was looking absolutely incredible. And then subsequently, you were given an opportunity to prove how good you really were after that first lot of rain. And you guys, together with the staff at DCC and all the other people that helped you out, you were able to prove that again. So well done on the incredible work that you did over the SA Open and the work that you continue to do here. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Clint. No, it was good. It was a learning curve for everybody, but we were super proud of what we achieved, and that was to put DCC back on the map. I think the whole world is now seeing that Durban Country Club's back. It's where it should be, and I do believe that in the next few years it'll, with the continuous upgrades that the club is planning, it's going to be phenomenal.
Wonderful, wonderful gift. Thank you very much for your time.
Yeah, thanks, man.
And I'll see you in the gym.
Oh, geez, yeah. My favorite place.
Shut. Cheers.
Thanks, Clint.
Not so fast. It is such a cool feeling when I see that Spotify subscribers number increase on the weekly, when I see the number of people listening to the episodes going up, and it really makes a huge difference. Have you ever done something and you feel so good when you get rewarded by some positive feedback and you really feel like you're making a difference? That's what it means to me, and that's how I feel. And it goes a long way. If you like the show, share it and subscribe it. Thank you humbly, and I'll see you next week.